Hello everyone, thank you once again for joining me on this series of my Microsoft Azure Cybersecurity. On this episode, I want to demonstrate how you can secure your SQL database. Now, before you can secure it, you have to set it. It has to be up and running. So the first thing I want to do is to set it. If you go to your all services and you go, just click down there if you have a SQL Server database, and then when you click on that, we have this. So here I can go and see database, and I have a subscription here already. Then I have a resource group. I can get a name. I will get a name called let me say SQL, or let me say OB01. And then here, let me create another server because I want the name to unique OB01 on that server, so I can. Then the other thing I wanted to pay attention to the authentic. So this will allow me to provide my username and password. So I will use tadmin. So I will say okay. So the next thing I will definitely, so if you look at my new server, if you look at database and look at the server name, is server 1 SQL Elastic, I will say because this is development environment, and figure the and make sure I budget friendly because it's trying to get some budget. Okay, so apply, go ahead. I will local redundant. I just want local redundant backup. I don't. Then I will have to, if I want to connect to this at the end of the day, then if I want service Azure database, allow it. Yes, still want that. If I want to either you redirect client, if you look at policy, default is redirect policy for all client on origin side of, and the other one client establish connection directly node hosting. They're more or less like this thing, but I will pick that one. I don't. Then I will move to next. So here I will see enable Microsoft Defender. I can do that right here, but I want to do that after this. This is one of the things configured for me, like secure database, but I want to do that not here. So now the other thing like ledger integrity check, server identity, they have different functionality that this configuration, if you are using to access some services and stuff like that, you can configure these things. But the reason why we are here today is just to reach some security, and I'll go now here. What I want to hear is just I won't spawn backup. I won't do that because I don't need that, but I will do sample. I will make sure that I have a sample. There is a sample database. Yes, database called AdventureWorks, because I want to do some stuff. Then I will make sure that also enable. So I will say okay, and I will go. So I don't need to put any tag here. We'll go ahead. So creating D takes some time, so, but I think I will pause and come back to it. Okay, so now that we have the instance of the database, if I go to resources here, the name of the server, and the other thing you Visual Studio that you open SQL Server management. But what I will do is that I will use standalone SQL Server. So if you want to download that and get to have it downloaded the environment, so this is where you connect. It's just for us to test some of you want to test. From there we'll move forward. Okay, so after the installation of your SQL Server management to launch it, I have here, and then when you come here, this is the name of the server, SQL Server, the name of user, the password, I will password database. So this is how to test if your database was properly done. And when this is done, then you can come here, you can see the database and order. So this is how to create a database, how to connect to. The next thing I want to show us net enable on this particular database so that I can. So the first thing I will do, enable what I call enable CSP, that is our normal cloud. Then the other thing to enable assessment, and that is also called vulnerability. So let's get in. So let's just get to this. So the first thing when you open your database is the blade here, then Defender here. I enable Microsoft Defender for your SQL database. But before I do, let me go back to cell and let's whether the Microsoft Defender for. So if you look at it, see that this, so Microsoft is in the inventory already. Microsoft Defender, it's not in the inventory yet, because if you look at the inventory, it's not here. So what we have here, I think, is some of the ones I have before, because it's not enabled. So let me go back to, we have the Defender, then let me enable that. Time now is enabled. It takes some time before it actually reflects Defender's. Another thing I can vulnerability scanning, that is no SQL vulnerability assessment. Now there is no one here enabled. There's no one here. But what I can do is I can even initiate scan. So these are the two things you to enable security on your database. You can do Defender for SQL, and you can do vulnerability assessment scanning. Okay, so that what that means, and but we can get back to Defender again, see whether it's now the event. It might take some time to show up here, but definitely when you have the time, you are definitely okay. There we go. So we have it. If you look at OB101, is now here. That should be defended by Microsoft Defender. If you go to recommendations, recommended here, you go to okay. So remember, it's event when you get to defend. Yeah. With that, I come to the end of enable your security for your database.